Hey class, Mr. Houston here, back for another exciting episode of Geometry Notes. Today we've moved on to Chapter 10, Lesson 2, and today we're talking about arc measures. Let's first talk about what an arc is. If you look at a circle, an arc is just part of the circle on the outside. You have what's known as minor arcs, and you have what's known as major arcs. A minor arc is any arc that is less than 180 degrees, usually only named with 2 letters, whereas a major arc is generally greater than 180 degrees and will be named with 3 letters. And the reason that is, if I say AB, and I'm talking about the smaller arc here, that's great. But I could also say, well, maybe I wanted to go around the circle AB, because it's still the same starting and ending point, but I want to go through point D, so that means I need to have a third point in there to talk about in order to make it a major arc. Okay? We're also going to talk about central angles. The measure of a central angle, which is this right here, is equal to the measure of its arc measure. Okay, so if, let's say for some reason, actually, let's move down here to this key fact here. The measure of a minor arc is the measure of its central angle. So if the central angle is 50 degrees, the measure of the arc is 50 degrees. Sometimes they don't give you the measure of an angle, but say they wanted ADB. We know a circle hopefully is 360 degrees. So 360 degrees minus the 50 for this minor arc will give us the rest of it, and in this case is 310 degrees. So again, minor arc less than 180, major arc greater than 180. Sometimes we have to subtract to find the difference. All right, so let's just take a look at example number 1 here. Find the measures of the given arcs. So the first arc we're talking about is arc RS. Arc RS is equal to the measure of its central angle, and in this case its central angle is 110, so its measure is 110 degrees. Okay, now they want RTS, so now we want this part out here. Okay, so I know part of this is 110 degrees, so I need to figure out the rest of it. So to figure out RTS, I will take 360 minus 110. That is going to give me 250, which is going to give me 250 degrees. And last but not least, let's take a look at RST. So RST is talking about this interior part right here. Now if you notice, we have what's known as a diameter going through the middle. It touches the center, and so we're connecting the points of that diameter. If we remember correctly, a diameter is a straight line. A straight line has a 180 degree measure, so a diameter has a 180 degree measure. Because it has 180 degrees, because it's a straight line, that means the measure of its arc is also the same. All right, so just some simple addition, subtraction kind of ideas. It's key to know the inside central angles in order to figure out the measure of the angles on the outside. All right, so flip your notes over. Let's take a look at the arc addition postulate. It says what it means, pretty much. If I want to figure out arc ABC, I can take the small measure of arc AB and the measure of arc BC and add them together to give me all of ABC. Kind of like segment addition postulate and angle addition postulate. If I add 2 smaller ones together, I will get a larger one. All right, so let's apply that to example 2 here. Okay, this is a recent survey. Whom would you rather meet? So we know what the interior angles are for all of these. That's what these marks are. Those are all the interior angles. All right. So the interior angles, now they want us to find different arcs. So the first one they want us to find is arc AC. So we're here, And we're going to go here. Now, how do I know that it's just here to here? How do I know it's not the other way around? This arc is less than 180 degrees, and I know that because to be 180, I'd have to go straight across. So it's less than 180. That's why it's a minor arc. That's why we don't have to have a third letter in there. So AC is going to be, you know what, need a little extra space here. So let's back down here. So for letter A, the measure of arc AC is going to be equal to AB, which is 29, plus BC, which is 108. We will add those together. 29 plus 108 will give us 137. So the measure of arc AC is 137 degrees. Part B wants us to know the measure of major arc ACD. So we're going here. We got to go through C and then to D. So 29, 108, and 83. Well, I already know that 29 and 108 is 137. So I'm going to add that to my 83. When I add those together, I should get 220 degrees. Again, this is over 180, which is why we are looking at a major arc. Okay, that's why there's 3 letters to it. All right, letter C, major arc ADC. Now, major arc means that we are now going from A, let's try to change colors here, A, going to go through D, and all the way over to C. So, couple ways to do this. One is to add these 3 together, okay, which is fine. You could do 79 plus 61 plus 83. The other way is to say, okay, so I figured out this black part here, right, ABC. I got that done. This is just the other part of it, so I could do 360 minus whatever I got here. Either way is fine. You'll get the same answer either way. If I add these together, I would get 223 degrees. I'd get the same thing if I had done, we knew this was 137, so 360 minus 137 will also give me that same number. Okay, so just 2 ways you could do it. And finally, part D. Oh, that's part B. Let's try a D. The measure of EBD. So, last but not least here, EBD means we're here. We're going here all the way around to D. Now, this is the time where I would suggest that this little piece right here that we're not using, 61 degrees, let's use that and take 360 and subtract 61 from it to give us 299. Now, why did I subtract? Well, we're only missing this little piece, so you could add all 4 of those up. You should still get 299, or I could take 360 minus 61 and get 299. All right, so just know you can add or subtract either way. The last we're going to talk about is congruent arcs. Remember, congruent means the same shape and the same size. Okay, it's hard to, what I'm trying to say here is that you're going to have the same maybe central angle measure, but think about the length of the arc. Is that arc the same size, the same size circle? Is it the same shape? Okay, so if I look here at number 1, I have central angle marks of 80, and I'm on the same circle. So an 80-degree arc here is going to be the same as an 80-degree arc here. So the answer to this is yes. And you could just say something like they're on the same circle. But when I go over here, I see this is 90 degrees, which means that this is going to have a 90-degree arc, and this is also going to be a 90-degree arc. But could you say that they are the same shape and the same size? No, you can't, because these are not congruent circles. One word you may see come up is they are concentric circles, meaning they share the same center. But not the same circles works just fine for me. And last but not least here, we have two different circles here, but we have 95 as our center angle measure, which is great. But this is the key here. They are marking that the radius is the same. So the answer to this one, because the radius is the same, would be yes, because they are congruent circles. They have the same radius, which will make them congruent. All right, so a lot of information covered here, all about arcs. Make sure you understand it. If you have any questions, bring them with you to class, and we will see you then.